Hi guys, my name is Chloe, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in March. So March was quite a good reading month for me. I got kind of back in the swing of things, I'd say, compared to February. This is mostly due to being tired most of the time though, so I'd spend my evenings just curled up in bed with a book, which I'm not complaining about at all. But it meant I did less video games and stuff like that and more reading, so that's how I crammed a lot of these books in. And I also managed to finish up the few books which were carried over from February. I think 2 or 3 of these I'd already started in February, and so I finished them up in March, and those were sort of easy books to check off for me. So overall I read a total of 9 books. And in terms of pages, this was 3,413 pages, so quite a lot there. I'm really pleased. In terms of star ratings, I had 1 3-star, 1 3.5 star, 4 4 stars, 1 4.5 stars, and 2 5-star reads. In terms of age categories, I read 3 young adult, 1 new adult, and 5 adult books. So yeah, let's see what books I read in March. So the first book that I finished in March was Harrow the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir. This is the sequel to Gideon the Ninth, which I read back in January, I want to say, or February, can't remember. But this one was really good. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was really good, but not quite as good as the first book. This one was really confusing from start to finish, pretty much. But that wasn't a bad thing. I really enjoyed not knowing what the hell was going on, especially since we were following Harrow through this, which is a character that we've met in book 1. So a character that we're familiar with, and all these things start to happen and it seems like she's insane and crazy. And yeah, it's just a really weird atmosphere in this book. It's really hard to describe, but I really liked it. This one was a lot slower than the first one. There's less of a mystery going on and the intrigue was slightly lower for me. And I found Gideon's point of view in the first book so much more interesting than in Harrow's. But this was still a really strong installment, and at the end of this book they had a teaser for book 3. And I'm very excited to see where the third book goes. But yeah, this book was great. I loved seeing some character returns. I can't say any more than that because it would be spoilers. But this was another strong installment in the series, and I really can't wait for book 3. The second book I finished in March was an ebook, and this was Ghosts and Liars by Kathryn and Kingsley. This is the second book in the Strand series. So this is a duology. This was the final book. So in the first book we follow Alice, who takes on a job to work at this mansion, where she has to just check it over on the evenings to make sure nobody's breaking in, because they can sometimes get kids and vandals coming in and destroying the house and stuff like that. And the resident ghost of the house ends up falling in love with her, and it's a paranormal romance. In this book we pick up after the events of the first book, so I can't tell you any more than that, but it was really good. This one was still really dark and gritty in places. I didn't enjoy this one quite as much, and I gave this one 4 stars, so just a little bit lower than the last book, just because I really enjoyed the creepy atmosphere in book 1. Like, it was just so scary when she was walking around the house, and it was kind of creepy in places, and that was, I felt, missing from this book. And some of the characters annoyed me a little bit in places, and I can't say why because it would be major spoilers. And that did make me angry in places, but overall I think when it comes to how the series ended, I think I was happy and content. And overall, as a duology, I still really love this series. I love all of the author's works that I've read so far, and yeah, it was really good, but not quite as good as book 1. The next book is another ebook also by Kathryn and Kingsley, and this was the Astonishing Strand brothers. So this is a little novella, and this is kind of like a crossover between the Julian Strand series and her Harrow Fair series. So we get characters from both of those series coming into the mansion and meeting. It's at Christmas time, it's really festive, and yeah, all of my favourite characters are in there. I love the interactions, I loved seeing how they meet and what they thought of each other and stuff. But it was like 50 pages, not much happened. It was kind of like fan fiction, really. It felt like that anyway because not much happened, but the character interactions were on point. So I gave this one 3.5 stars just because of the length. I don't tend to rate really short stories higher than a 3, usually. But yeah, this one was really, really nice and was really satisfying for me because I loved both of these series. But it wouldn't be good to pick up if you hadn't read either of these series before. So the fourth book that I finished in March was 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. I really, really liked this one. I gave this one 4 stars. This one is a fantasy book and we follow Shuri and her 6 brothers. They are she's the princess and they're the princes in this kingdom. And on the day of her betrothing ceremony, I think it is, she runs away because she does not want to get married to this guy that she's never met before. And in the process of this, she falls into a lake and meets a dragon who turns out to be a dragon shifter called Harrow, I think. Not long after this, her stepmother curses her family, so her brothers are turned into the cranes and she is banished and has this enchanted bowl on her head, and she can't talk to anyone. So she can see out of this bowl because it's enchanted, but nobody can see her face, and she can't talk to anyone about who she is or what she's doing or communicate, because if she does, then she knows that one of her brothers will be injured or worse than that, killed, and she really doesn't want that to happen. So somehow she has to find a way to save her brothers and get home, all without communicating and stuff like that. Yeah, the atmosphere was really nice and lovely. I don't read too many books set in Asia, so that was really refreshing for me, and it was really whimsical and I really liked that. And yeah, I'm excited for book 2 because where it ends, I'm so intrigued to see where it goes and I can't say why. The only things I didn't like too much about this book is the romance in this book felt a little bit too insta-lovey. I didn't quite vibe with that, and in places the main character could seem a bit younger than she is, but otherwise, overall a really good read, and I'm excited, and I'm so excited to pick up the second book. Next I read Seasons of War. This is the 13th book in the Skullduggery Pleasant series, so can't say much at all about this book, but we still follow Valkyrie and Skullduggery Pleasant as they have to fight bad guys and save the world from evil. This is an urban fantasy set in Ireland and it's full of humour and it's amazing. In this book, if you know the series, we get to go back to the parallel universe, so we meet some old characters that are otherwise dead in the in our usual universe, so that was really nice. And I especially loved this one because it felt more like the OG Skullduggery Pleasant series. I loved it, the interactions were great, the humour was on point, and yeah, I'm currently reading book 14 at the minute in preparation for the new one and I'm just loving it, and obviously I gave this one 5 stars. So next in March I read Vicious by the Schwab. I really liked this one. I gave it 4.5 stars. In this book we follow Victor and Eli whilst they're at university and their attempts to become extraordinaries, which are people with superpowers and abilities, so kind of like superheroes in a way, but also supervillains as well, like just gaining these magical powers. It was really good. So in this book we do get to see a bit of a, we do get to see multiple timelines, the main ones being back in university, how these guys got their powers, and present day where they are enemies. And this book was really interesting to see how that played out, because the opening scene, we just get these characters dig in a grave and you don't know why, you don't know who's in it, and that was just a really, really good opening. I really liked it. We get to see a range of different characters in this book with different abilities, which was really nice. But this one is very, very dark in places, because the main characters, in order to gain these powers, you have to die first to get them. So they think up several different ways to kill themselves so that they can become extraordinary. So yeah, very dark, but I loved it. The only reason I didn't give this one 5 stars is I felt that it should have been a bit longer, so we get to spend more time with the characters, a bit more of their time in university. I really would have liked to see that. And I haven't read the second book yet. I don't know if we get more flashbacks then. But yeah, that's the only reason really why I didn't give this one 5 stars. But yeah, I'll have to see how things play out in the second book. Next, I have another book by V. Schwab, and that is Gallant. I read this one as soon as I could because I'd heard amazing things about this one. And it was described as The Secret Garden versus With Crimson Peak, and if you've been on my channel before, you know that's a movie that I really love. I'm very pleased to say that I did love this book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was wonderful. The atmosphere was incredible. It's the strongest part of this book. It was amazing. So in this book we follow Olivia, and she's at this, I think, boarding school for girls. I think this is set in the Victorian era, and she can't talk to anyone. She's mute until one day, and then one day she gets a letter saying that she's been invited back to Gallant, her family's like home, but when she turns up, nobody knows who she is and what she's doing there. And yeah, she starts seeing ghouls and ghosts. Well, actually I think it's a power that she's always had, but when she gets to Gallant they're just everywhere, and it's something that she can't escape from as easily. So she wants to find out what's going on at Gallant because, like I said, nobody knows who she is really. And she finds this kind of portal into another house, and it turns out to be Gallant, but not the Gallant that she's in and knows. And yeah, it was really good. Not much happened in this book really, but the characters were okay. And the atmosphere, like I said, was really the strongest part of this book. It was incredible, it was creepy, it was beautiful. Yeah, and I read this one in one sitting. It's a really, really quick read, and I loved it. Next I listened to The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. I gave this one 3 stars. This was a really, really disappointing read for me, especially after I loved the first book. I loved the first book so much. Yeah, this one just really wasn't as intriguing as book 1. There's no mysteries. There's no new mysteries really, apart from the ones that we already knew the answers to from book 1. There were no new major plot points opened really. And it was kind of like just a war kind of thing, but there was like a stalemate for quite a long time, so not really too much happened. Yeah, another thing that I didn't like about this book was the romance. It also felt too much insta-lovey and completely out of nowhere. I didn't like that one. Yeah, I was so tempted to drop this series after this book, but the ending was really, really good, and it's intrigued me enough to at least give the 3rd book a go, and hopefully I'll enjoy that one a bit more like I did with the first book, because the first book was so good. The magic system was so unique and amazing, and all the characters were really cool, and there were so many mysteries to unsolve and stuff, and this one just really fell a bit flat. But yeah, there's nothing more I can say really, just that it was okay. And the last book I read in March was another ebook, and this was The Doctor by Nikki Sloane. This one is an adult romance, and it's a ex-boyfriend's dad romance. And in this book, He is a doctor, if you couldn't tell from the title already. This one is kind of like Birthday Girl, if you've read Birthday Girl. If you like that, you're gonna like this as well, because it's kind of like that but just a lot shorter, so not as slow burny, but we still get some plot but also some steamy scenes in it. But yeah, this one was really good. I don't have too much to say about it. It was a quick read. One thing I was kind of disappointed by, since it was called The Doctor, we didn't spend too much time either in a hospital or like seeing him in his job or whatever, but overall I really enjoyed it. And yeah, like I said, if you enjoyed Birthday Girl or have read books similar to that, then you will really enjoy this one. So those are all the books that I read in March. Let me know down below if you've read any of these and what did you think, or let me know what your favourite read of March was for you. I'd love to know. But yeah, that's all for now guys, and I will see you in the next one.